Arda! He was shaking out his thoughts when Karato was suddenly in front of him, grabbing his shoulders, checking him for injury. Are you alright? You did get shot. Jada wasn't kidding, Karato said in a hushed tone, clearly laden with worry. He shook Arda gently. Hey, are you okay? I see no blood, but did you at least take out the bullet? He shook his head. No need to. My body absorbs it. Don't ask. He stopped the colonel before he could start. Don't even. But as he held out a hand to both stop and reassure him, he noticed the presence of someone new, someone who had an authoritative posture yet carried an aura of awkwardness. Eyes were instantly attracted to her, glaring red-hot daggers and burning holes into the back of her head, due to the prominent orange scarf around her neck. Arda glanced at the Imperialist, who was adjusting her hat nervously. To her credit, she kept her back straight and looked straight ahead, at Karato and Arda. Her clothing was distinctly different from the style of the 31st Platoon, more higher quality and flashy, obviously high-ranked. Karato followed his gaze. Oh, Arda, this is Kantingate, the actual negotiator and diplomat from Zanti the Emperor sent. He's here to arrange a meeting and talk about terms for letting our prisoners walk. Hello, she stammered, then stood even straighter and cleared her throat. She held out a hand for Arda to shake. It's a pleasure to meet you, Arda Zefni. I apologize for the misunderstanding. She gestured to the aftermath of the battle all around. Arda shook her hand warily, then crossed his arms. He wouldn't lie, his tone was definitely accusatory. Misunderstanding? You think the death of 11 Northspheres and the critical condition of 17 others this morning was a misunderstanding? Miss Khan was quite flustered. Sorry, no, I didn't mean... If the Emperor already sent a diplomat, why were their soldiers already out on the move as well, who conspired with the prisoners, lured them to Kendall Square, and ambushed them? It was something Arda had picked up from the interrogations conducted on the Imperialists. Arda wasn't sure how, nor did he care at the moment, but he knew that this was obviously an attempt to take over Cultus. If Blake and Arda hadn't arrived when they did, they would have laid siege over Sector 8, or just ended everything right then and there. Miss Khan held up a hand. I apologize for the blunt use of my words, Arda Zefni. What I meant was, the Emperor sent them first, several days ago, when he didn't know the full story. Then, however, the 31st Platoon, who escaped from Dorzak and made it to Zanti, spoke with me. They told me that what they went through and urged the Emperor to call back the soldiers. She gave Karato and Arda a polite bow of her head. And I must say, thank you, Arda Zefni, for saving my baby sister, as well as my cousin. Arda blinked in bewilderment. Oh, Kanting here, you're Zhang Wu's sister? That's right. I should thank you for saving all of them, in fact, she went on. If it weren't for you, none of them would have made it. And they repaid the favor when they requested a truce be made, even if temporarily. They even suggested we should start trying to form an alliance with the Northspheres instead. Karato cut in. And you're here to negotiate a meeting between the President and the Emperor? Precisely. And also, I was supposed to call off the attack, but I was a bit late. The Colonel of Sector 8 hesitated. I'll certainly pass the message to the President's Secretary, but I can't guarantee how long it will take to receive a response. All of you will have to stay in Cultus with the truce that will actually hold. Agreed. I'll make sure everyone gets the message. I appreciate your faith in us, Colonel. Karato grunted. All right. An alliance, huh? An alliance, which would mark possibly the first, most peaceful period in the apocalypse since it began 4 years ago. And if the apocalypse stopped as well, or at least the abnormality in the constant earthquakes, storms, and unexplainable events, it would take time, perhaps too much for the next generation to witness, for the Earth to go back to normal entirely. However, thousands of lives would be spared, new hope would be rekindled, and rebuilding would be possible. Arda kept his breathing carefully steady as he excused himself. Dread had settled in the very depths of his mind. He had to make this decision as soon as possible. He could apparently travel near the speed of light, which meant it would be around 4 or 5 years before he was far enough away from Zeta. That part was inevitable. However, he could at least not make it any longer. Therefore, he had to make this decision. He couldn't understand what was wrong with him. He should be glad. He was glad that there was a way for the people of this generation to witness a world that was not constantly ridden by devastating natural disasters. In just 4 years, people may not realize it right away, but it would become the day the planet started healing, returning to normal. Deaths wouldn't happen in every sector every day, whether by falling, blood loss, animal attacks, or suicide. He would be saving thousands of lives. And yet he was dreading it. Why was he dreading it? Why was he dreading this decision, dreading everything about it, even going as far as to fear it? The elevator had descended again, leaving only a groove in the snow where it had been. For the adrenaline-induced battle, seemingly everyone had forgotten it was there at all. He quickly navigated through the roads, remembering the quickest route back to the base from the maps he studied, and it was a few blocks away when he passed by a group of relatively uninjured Northspheres and medics heading back with supplies. He paused, confused. A few of them nodded to him after seeing his red tie. "Wait, excuse me," Arda interrupted, and the group stopped reluctantly, above Arda, walking on the road upside down. "I heard Blake was also joining you. Where is he now?" No one spoke. Instead, one of the medics freed his hand and pointed up. Well, Arda's up, his down, but generally just toward the sky. It was vague, non-specific, but for reasons Arda could not quite understand, he knew. "Thank you." Then he sprinted off. He managed to arrive at the door to the base and looked around, remembering the first day Arda had been awake. Arda had taken him out on patrol, up onto one of the tallest buildings still standing. He could recall exactly which roads, which turns, and which building it was, and he used them to his advantage as he walked upwards. He remembered that day clearly, thinking how odd it was to walk while horizontal, how the snow was falling on him, how the air bit his skin as the view of the cold, empty, deserted city below slowly disappeared as they entered the clouds. He remembered how lifeless everything was, how utterly barren. Arda looked back now and saw the same view, the same half-collapsed buildings, the same roads winding around them, the same ravine that was like a scar painted in the middle of the city, like surreal, like a tear in a painting. He walked slower this time, remembering the bickering they did. Now that he thought about it, it really had sounded like he was joking and making sarcastic comments. Walking on that road gave him a sense of familiarity and longing. Yet strangely, it felt colder than he recalled. He was pretty sure it hadn't been this cold when he was there last time with Blake. Then the road twisted and turned several times before he arrived at a rooftop of the building, the very same one where Blake had showed him the celestial bridge. The same view blessed him then, except it was pre-dawn. The sky was painted in odd, dark gray-purple. Stars twinkled where there was space, and from between the rings of the large arc in the sky, it seemed to shine in the starlight, and though it should have been dark, Arda could see perfectly well enough to see that his suspicion was right. He hung upside down for a few moments, studying the sitting figures, gazing off into the distance at the bridge, at the heavens, at the vast emptiness between the shining diamonds where Arda would be returning to. Because somehow, Blake already knew. "Could you at least stay for, I don't know, a few weeks? Months? Maybe years?" Arda dropped down and sat beside him. He suddenly remembered something Blake had said on the first day they'd known each other, on his rooftop. Though it's kind of weird, because I was just kind of found in the snow one day. I appeared out of nowhere 16 years ago. I have no idea exactly how old I am. He thought about it, though it had nothing to do with the conversation. I'm sorry, Blake. I can't. Arda murmured. The wind nearly blew the sound away, but he could tell the blonde heard him. I have to go, and if I go now, in 4 years, all the natural disasters here on Zeta wouldn't be so devastating. His reaction was partially expected. He buried his face in his hands. I can't believe I'm already as attached to you as I had been with Cleona, even though I've only known you for, a month. Arda, please, I can't lose anyone else. Arda took a deep breath. He was reluctant as well, to say the least, but this was something he had to do, something he wanted to as well. Blake, you have to let go. Blake removed his hands and let out a one-syllable laugh. You're right. I wholeheartedly agree. Except that I can't. I haven't let go of Cleona, and after you leave, I won't let go of you. Blake. He turned to face him. Arda, 2 years ago, I lost the closest person I've ever had to a family. There was not one day when I hadn't thought about her. She was the only one who understood me, and when she was suddenly gone, just like that, then you literally dropped in on our lives. You were someone who understood me. And now that I know that I'm an artificial human, that I'm different, that you and I are the only ones in the world, how can I just... He cut himself off. Arda stood, and Blake followed suit. He looked at Blake calmly, letting him gather his thoughts. I'm not perfect like you. I can't think completely logically. I can't make the best decision in every situation. I can't know everything there is to know about the world. I know you have to go, but... There was something Arda knew about Blake, undoubtedly, that the blonde himself couldn't possibly deny. He was sharp, and he was bright. His favorite persona, when things weren't serious and he could crack jokes, was acting dumb. However, the truth was far from it. He lacked Arda's knowledge of the world, but he made up more than enough for it with his understanding and judgments of people, as well as his own intellect. He groaned and rubbed his temples. I don't like talking about myself, but I feel the need to explain myself. And I lied. A little. Those 2 weeks before you're supposed to launch, I didn't think about Cleona every day. I didn't miss her as much. And just now, I didn't think I could do that. I didn't think I had the skills to pull off such a tactic. I wasn't thinking of her, and I wasn't thinking that she would... I don't even know. I know she isn't coming back, and so I went all out. I was just focused on protecting everything else. Offense is the best defense, right? Arda gently laid his hands on Blake's shoulders. And I admit, maybe Kurato's nagging for me to become his second or the next colonel wasn't for no reason, and I think I can protect everyone a little better. Maybe I can help in more ways than taking on patrols and scavenging expeditions. The corners of Arda's mouth twitched. So you admit that you don't have to depend on Cleona for everything? That you are talented and skilled? That you don't have to hold on so tightly to the past? Maybe, Blake agreed. But this is different. This is what... Why are you helping me deal with this anyways? If you need to go, you can just go. You don't have to worry about me. I'm getting over Cleona's death, and I'll get over this eventually as well. This isn't so different, Blake, Arda said. I'm helping you because I want you to hear from me. You will be perfectly fine. You have people around you, people who are more than willing to help you, to support you. You shouldn't have to be afraid of anything. This is just life. Debatable, Blake muttered. Then he looked at him, his clear gray eyes, now clear of most of the uncertainty and worry from before, born into his multicolored eyes. However, Arda, I'm worried for you. You've got a personality. You've been feeling emotions. You remember everything, and you're leaving to be alone yet again. For the rest of eternity, never staying in one place, never able to settle down and relax. You'll be alone the entire time. Arda gave him a bittersweet smile. It was odd, smiling, but it felt right. Nothing in life is perfect. Nothing has its pros without its cons. Being alone is simply going to be the downside to the benefits. Don't worry about me, or worry for me. I've got enough emotions to do that myself, courtesy of you. Arda looked down, but only for a brief second. Then he looked up. Well, I suppose you'll think of me every time you feel something. That's enough company for you, I hope. It is. Don't worry, Arda assured him. And everything you gave me, I still have them. Blake laughed, but this one was more genuine, more lighthearted. Well, I suppose I'll miss you. I'll miss you too. They held eye contact for a long moment. Then, in a more relaxed manner, and accept whatever promotion Karato offers you, alright? Okay, alright, fine. You're not going to say goodbye? He shook his head. Admittedly, it would be painful. The blonde grinned. And I'm an exception? No, I'm merely doing this out of pity, Ponytail. Did you literally just use the nickname Jada uses to call me? Also, rude. Last chance to. I wouldn't miss it. Arda let go of Blake's shoulders and walked to the edge of the building. He leaned over and stepped onto the side of the building, his boots lighting up. He stopped at the very top of the wall, horizontal, looking down. He knew how to launch himself. It was almost like instinct. He knew what to do. But then Arda felt the presence of Blake behind him and turned. So you're just going? Blake asked. Uncertainty still lingered. Arda knew, despite everything he told him, the memory of losing Arda, of seeing him leave, wouldn't be any less painful. He would grieve, he would recover, and he would remember. It just took time. He nodded. Yeah, it's better to get it over with. Blake then abruptly gave him a hug, wrapping his arms around him. Arda returned it. This is random, but don't you think this is ironic? Blake blurted out. Arda smiled. Yeah, it is. It is really ironic. And this is also a goodbye. It is. A pause. Goodbye, Arda Zeffney. Goodbye, Blake. He pulled away from the hug and walked backward. He had to go now, or he might just change his mind. Though he hid it well, the blonde's eyes were glossy and teary. You get to choose your fate, by the way. Don't make the same mistake I did. He laughed. Even with the now 2-meter distance between them, the wind whipped nearly all sounds away. You never made such a mistake, Arda Zeffney. Now he really had to go. If he didn't, he never would. He breathed in and pushed off the building, deactivating his boots and plummeting down through the clouds. The sight of Blake quickly faded. He focused. A moment later, Arda Zeffney was suddenly flying upwards instead, fighting against gravity, wind howling in his ear, before he quickly broke through the atmosphere, all sound cutting off as he shot away from Zeta. Within seconds, he could see the entire planet, utterly stunning, with its rings and its 2 different atmospheres in completely different climates. His heart clenched. Blake hadn't been wrong. He was alone now, once again, and forever. However, he thought of it this way. He was the recorder, the being with the entire history of the human race, all its legacies, achievements, worst and best moments. But since Earth and Zeta weren't the only planets with life, nor the only worlds with a story, he could be the recorder of our knowledge of the universe. It would be impossible to know everything he knew. But at least now, despite the loneliness, he had a purpose in his existence. That was enough for him.